Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah. Today, I want to ask you a question. How would you feel if you knew the car where your loved one died and you were told it was destroyed was still out there somewhere on the road? Wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to choose whether it was rebuilt or destroyed? As a mother, my deepest sincere desire is to protect my son's memory. And I want to ensure that no one else ever must sit behind the wheel of the car where his life was taken from us. I envision a system that not only respects families who have lost loved ones, but also allows us to say in what happens to the vehicles connected to our tragedies. The car my son was in was reduced to pieces. There was likely nothing that could have been salvaged. But what about your car? What about your loved one's car? What about other cars? But even if there were, as his mother, I could have never accepted that car or any other part of it was being used for any other purpose again, especially me not knowing it. The pain of losing a child is indescribable. It is though part of you is ripped away forever, and you have this lifetime sentence that has been given to you of depression, loneliness, trauma, you name it, insomnia. I could go on and on and on. But I didn't expect was the additional pain that someone could face beyond that loss, particularly with what happened to the car in which their children took their last breath. Now, after the car, what I found out is that after the crash, the car was used as evidence in the trial of Dennis Rodriguez Abeda Jr., okay, in my case. During this process, it's set in an impound lot. Now, a painful reminder of that tragic night. Once the trial ended, I learned that the car would not be destroyed. Instead, it could have been sold as salvage auction, repaired, and possibly put back on the road, driven by someone who may not have known that this vehicle was involved in a fatal accident. Now, like I said, in my case, the car was in pieces. But for somebody else, now, the car represents an imaginable loss for me. But to others, it's just another vehicle to be fixed and resold. Again, we are put down at the bottom of the list, so to speak. The system doesn't consider the emotional weight that these cars carry for families like mine. When a vehicle is involved in a fatal crash, it is repaired and resold. The new owner is rarely informed of its history. It's treated just as another car with a salvage or rebuilt title. Now, this is all new to me. So, a salvage title is issued to a vehicle that has been so severely damaged, often in a catastrophic event, like a fatal crash involving a DUI, that the cost to repair it exceeds a significant portion of its value, typically 75% or more. Now, in such cases, the insurance company deems a vehicle a total loss. Go figure. A car with a salvage title is considered undrivable and unsurable in its current state due to extensive damage. Now, this is what I got from Google. Now, a rebuilt title is given to a vehicle that was previously declared a total loss and had a salvage title, but has since been repaired and restored to pass a state inspection. In this case, of a fatal DUI-related crash, this means this car, which may have been severely damaged, was repaired, deemed roadworthy again. However, it will also carry rebuilt designation indicating its history of involvement in a tragic accident. I'm sorry, but how many of us understand this and know this when we go out to buy a used car? When they say it's rebuilt, we don't think of this. And we don't think that some of the parts that are being put in other cars are parts of a car that has been involved in a car crash. We just don't think about it because we don't know about it. But I certainly, personally, would not want to be driving around a car where somebody had been killed in, murdered in, or involved in a fatal car crash. But I know in the past I have bought used cars. Now, when a vehicle is given a salvage title after a severe crash, again, such as a fatal DUI-related crash, it is often sent to the salvage yard. Once there, parts of the vehicle still in unusable condition can be sold individually. These parts can include the engine, transmission, tires, and other fundamental parts not damaged in the crash. Like I said, in my case, there was nothing left. The rest of the vehicle, which may be too damaged to repair, is typically scrapped or crushed for metal. Again, I'm sure that's what happened to my son's car. It was crushed for metal. So then again, it probably ends up in another car. Knowing that parts of the vehicle may be sold can be emotionally difficult for families affected by a tragic crash, especially if they are not involved in the decision of what happens to the vehicle. Communicating with the insurance company or the salvage yard is essential to controlling the vehicle's future or ensuring it is correctly disposed of. Now, I know how you are feeling now, overwhelmed. I would say find an attorney to help you navigate this nightmare and every other nightmare that you come in contact. And also, please do remember, I am not an attorney. I am a victim. This highlights how victims involved in fatal DUI crashes are categorized based on their condition and what may happen to them afterward. There are differences in how the car is handled after a deadly crash, depending on whether the victim owns it, leased it, rented it, or does not have the title for it, or has the title for it. So again, I say, find yourself an attorney. The fact that someone could be driving that car in which my son died would have been unbearable. Families like mine are often left in the dark with no information about what happens to these vehicles, or for that matter, anything else, as I have explained in previous videos. After enduring such a tragedy, we deserve to know. We should be able to say whether a car should be destroyed or allowed back on the road. But again, we don't have any say-so unless we really follow through. Now, families should be informed and given the choice about what happens to the car involved in their tragedy. We also need to ensure that potential buyers know a vehicle's history, especially if it was involved in a fatal crash. Imagine how you would feel if you knew the car which your loved one died was back on the road. Wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want the option to decide what happens to it? The choice to drive drunk isn't just a mistake. It's a choice that takes lives and devastates families. And the repercussions should not continue in the form of a rebuilt car being sold without considering the loss it represents. The choice to drive drunk isn't not just a mistake. It's a crime. It's a decision that takes lives and destroys families. But the aftermath of that decision should not be compounded by knowing that the very vehicle that carried our children or loved ones to their death is being repaired, sold, and driven again. I am Sara Raney. I am not an attorney. I am a victim. I lost my son, Dr. Kenley Gene Raney, to a drunk driver January 25th, 2019. And I began my life sentence that day. Thank you.